And when you have somebody's career and basically life in your hands, and they'll do anything for you, that's not consent. That is not consent. That's an abuse of power. Just absolutely horrific. These cases are gross. I mean, and they're hard to listen to, honestly, and especially when a young woman, and if 37, you're still young, gets on the stand and you tell the jury how this has affected you over the last 20 years. That's powerful. That's absolutely powerful material.
When we go to the club, we used to have these bottles, right? And on this bottle, they be regular Moet bottles. On them bottles right there, they've been to have something to make the girls be real slippery and all of this kind of stuff.
We have bottles for us and bottles for them. First of all, you're drugging somebody without their consent or knowledge. That's a major physical assault right there, just right there. How bad does it look that Diddy's flying a 17-year-old girl on a private jet? She's on his lap in these photos. She's corroborated by the photographic evidence. My guess is there's going to be other evidence that's going to corroborate her story as well. Let me be absolutely clear. I did not do any of the awful things being alleged. I will fight for my name, my family, and for truth.
Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. Who is he? Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And who is he? Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And what he do? And it's gonna react to all the self-snitching.
Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another fun-filled episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, your board-certified criminal defense lawyer, coming to you with our content genius behind the ideas, behind everything, Michael Rivers. I'm his biggest fan, just so you know. Today we're reacting to the news about P. Diddy getting sued, and as a result of a new law, well, relatively new, and it's occurring around the country. We'll talk a little bit more about what that law is and the allegations facing P. Diddy. But before we get to that, this episode is brought to you by eSign.com. eSign.com is a very effective way to remotely do business. My grandfather, as he sits in his basement eating his Cheetos in his Cheeto-stained underpants, he is venturing out on a new business. And guess what? He got a record contract to do senior rap. I don't know if you guys know anything about this new genre of senior drill, but he's a murderous guy living in his own basement with his Cheeto-stained underwear. But he can't really leave the basement because he can hardly walk. The company that he's signing up with downloaded the app. They get, I think, 3 or 5 signatures a month for free. He's filming all these rap videos in the privacy of his own basement. I use eSign all the time. I used it twice this week, as a matter of fact. And I use it when I need to get a retainer agreement to somebody out of state or some kind of document signed fast. eSign.com, a very effective way to remotely do business. Now let's talk about P. Diddy. Okay, first of all, he had one gal that had sued him, and then and we'll talk a little bit about more of the specifics. But then the minute she filed, he settled with her the very next day. Well, shortly after that, and I'll give you a timeline of all this, 3 more accusers have come forward to allege sexual assault allegations against P. Diddy. And then he came out and gave a statement. Well, and a lot of these allegations are over 30 years old. And so you're thinking to yourself, what the hell? How can you sue somebody if it's that old? Isn't there a statute of limitations? Yes, there is. But there is this new law that is almost universal. It's in every state. We have it here in Minnesota. It's called the Adult Survivors Act. And what it is, basically, it's a 1-year look-back period. So for 1 year, you can, if you're an adult, and you were an adult at the time or close to it, you can sue your perpetrator, the one you're accusing of sexual assault, regardless of any timeline. It sunsets, so you only have a year to do this. And it's to kind of clear up a lot of old cases to give people redress that may not have had either the courage or the wherewithal or just the ability to bring a lawsuit, and the statute of limitations may have run at that point. So you have the ability, and it was sunsetting. So that is the reason I think that you had all these things come out and about. Let's talk about who filed the first complaint. His ex, Cassie, filed a bombshell lawsuit against him, alleging that he sex trafficked her and raped her over the course of an abuse of 10 years. She filed it on November 16th. On the 17th, they settled. What does that tell you? Let me tell you what that tells you about that lawsuit. It tells you that they, were putting her off, hoping by hook and by crook she was not going to observe the statute of limitations. The sunset period would happen and she wouldn't be able to serve it. But guess what? She wasn't stupid. So she had her lawyers file it, and the very next day they settled. Now, the amount that they settled for is confidential, and they don't have to tell us. But suffice it to say, it was significant. So on the 16th of November of this year, Cassie accused him of rape, sexual assault, or sex trafficking, and domestic violence. I don't know if the domestic violence falls into that category, but in any event, they're allegations that stem from 2018. And like I said, on the 17th, they resolved it. And it says, I have decided to resolve this matter amicably on terms that I have some level of control. She also said, I want to thank my family, fans, and lawyers for their unwavering support. How do you settle nasty allegations of sexual and domestic assault amicably? I mean, fucking A. How do you do that? You don't. You don't do that. But guess what? Not even a week later, Diddy is accused of sexual assault by another woman. She accused Diddy of drugging and raping her when she was in college, a student at Syracuse University in 1991. Here's one of the things I don't like about these laws is that so much time has passed, like 32 years has passed, and, okay, how am I going to get any documents? How am I going to get any witnesses? I mean, that's a long, long time. Attorneys for JD claim she was the victim of revenge porn after Diddy allegedly recorded the incident and shared the tape with others in the music industry. You can't do that nowadays. The last-minute law, and this is a statement from a spokesperson for Diddy, the last-minute lawsuit is an example of how a well-intentioned law can be turned on its head. JD, 32-year-old story, is made up and not credible. Mr. Combs never assaulted her, and she implicates companies that did not exist. This is purely a money grab and nothing more, a spokesman for the rapper said. Okay, well, if that wasn't bad enough, so you got two people, and all of a sudden, the same day, Diddy faces a third sexual lawsuit against Jane Doe, alleging that Diddy and Aaron Hall took turns raping her and a friend in New York City more than 30 years ago. In response to that allegation, these are fabricated claims falsely alleging misconduct from over 30 years ago and filed at the last minute. There's nothing but a money grab because of Mr. Combs' fame and success. He is an easy target for anonymous accusers who lie without conscience or consequence for financial benefit. Now, here's the deal. Think about that, though. That is true in the sense these guys who have money, fame, and whatever, are targets. If you have something like them implicating, corporations that didn't exist at the time and say this happened here or where, and you've got details that are very fuzzy, that bodes well for Diddy. But here's the thing: he still has to defend these. How do you prove you didn't do something? Okay, you drove to work today, right? Okay, prove to me you didn't speed. It's almost impossible. I suppose you could get the tower records. You could see, calculate. But in the old world, how do you prove you didn't slap me in the face? It's difficult to just prove a negative. And here's the thing: these are civil cases brought in the Southern District of New York in federal court. In a civil case, it's only preponderance of the evidence. That just means slightly more true than not true. If you have two stories. And it's just slightly more true. She's proven her case. So it's not like a criminal case where it's beyond a reasonable doubt. And the other statement that they said about the law, the New York legislature certainly did not intend or expect the Adult Survivors Act to be exploited by scammers. The public should be skeptical and not to rush to accept these bogus allegations. We're not even 2 weeks from the filing of the initial complaint by Miss Ventura. And he's resigning from Revolt, the media company. He's on the board there. And no jury or anybody's been found to be culpable or negligent or responsible yet. These are just allegations at this point. Should a woman be believed? Of course you believe a woman. But just because you believe her or you give credence to any allegations doesn't mean when you get to a court of law that she shouldn't stand up to cross-examination, because any untested allegation is just what? A one-sided story, right? And if that wasn't bad enough, on December 6th, Diddy is accused again of sex trafficking and gang rape by a fourth woman under the name of Jane Doe. And she accused Diddy, former Bad Boy Entertainment president, Harv Pierre, and a third individual, and they call her assailant because they don't know who the identity of that person, but they think they'll find it out in discovery, of sex trafficking and gang rape when she was 17 years old. Now, here's the thing. Listen to this. I'm going to read a little bit from the complaint. Now, this one is a little more backed up. While at the studio, Mr. Combs and his associates, including Mr. Pierre, plied Miss Doe with drugs and alcohol. As the night wore on, the 17-year-old Doe became more and more inebriated, eventually to the point where she could not possibly have consented to having sex with anyone. So that's kind of a helpless, physically helpless. At the studio, Miss Doe was gang raped by Mr. Combs and the third assailant and Mr. Pierre in that order. So that's a direct allegation from the complaint. While Mr. Combs was raping Miss Doe, he complained that he could not get off unless she pinched his nipples as hard as she could. Okay, so one of the things that makes this allegation maybe a little more credible is take a look at these photos. These are lifted directly off the complaint. Now, her face is blacked out and her identity has been protected. So I don't feel uncomfortable showing this to you because it's actually a matter of public record. When you have something like this where you can back it up with photographic evidence, which is what this is. So she's 37 now. And when she gets on the stand and she sits there and tells her horrific story, those are very, 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 very difficult to refute. Especially when the standard is only a preponderance of the evidence. Diddy put out a statement on the 6th. Enough is enough. For the last couple of weeks, I have sat silently and watched people try to assassinate my character, destroy my reputation, and my legacy. He added, sickening allegations have been made against me by individuals looking for a quick payday. Let me be absolutely clear. I did not do any of the awful things being alleged. I will fight for my name, my family, and for truth. Let's just say everything was on the up and up, which I'm sort of, it doesn't matter whether I buy her story or not, but let's just say everything's on the up and up. How bad does it look that Diddy's flying a 17-year-old girl on a private jet? She's on his lap in these photos. Look at these. I mean, she's on his lap. And so she's corroborated by the photographic evidence. My guess is there's going to be other evidence that's going to corroborate her story as well. But think about that, 17 years old. How old was Diddy at the time? I don't even know. All I know he was a mogul, and he was a mogul back then. He was a big deal back then. And the power differential between the two, I mean, she didn't have any money to go anywhere. She couldn't do anything. She couldn't fight back. And let's hope it's false. Let's hope it's false. Because wouldn't it be just awful if it were true? And if it is true, he should be prosecuted. But my guess is that the statute of limitations on the criminal side has run. Let's give a shout out to our sponsor, Step One. It's the holiday season, right? And, we're all shopping. We're all shopping for gifts. Ladies, this is the greatest gift of all that you can get your man. You know why you can get these for your man? Because it's got the Lycra panels. He won't chafe. He won't sweat. These are made from viscose material that's derived from organic bamboo. It's got a mesh panel in the back. And guess what? As he's wearing these and you're shopping, he's not going to be like those guys who are falling asleep in the chairs while you're trying stuff on. And right now, if you put Bruce Rivers in the code section as you check out, you get 25% off. This is a no-risk proposition to you because if you send it back before 30 days is up, you'll get a full refund. But guess what? You're not going to have to do that because you're going to love it. These are Step Ones. Get some. Some of the allegations are that Harv was in the back smoking crack and forcing her to give him a blowjob. And there's other allegations that we could talk about that are just absolutely horrific. These cases are gross. I mean, and they're hard to listen to, honestly. And especially when a young woman, and if 37, you're still young, gets on the stand and you tell the jury how this has affected you over the last 20 years. That's powerful. That's absolutely powerful material. But let's just talk about the timing of this stuff. Odd when this allegation by Miss Ventura comes to light. All of a sudden, boom, boom, boom. Three more allegations come. And just in the nick of time to avoid the sunset of the Adult Survivors Act in New York. I don't like cases that are old like that because it puts the accused on a footing where you have to defend something that is stale. And what I mean by that is memories fade, evidence fades. You can't get documents, or he doesn't even have the same studio anymore. I don't know if he does or not, but there's a whole host of things that prejudice a defense to this kind of stuff. That's why we have statute of limitations, except for in murder. We don't have statute of limitations on murder. And in some cases, it's not, the statute of limitations doesn't even start to run until after it's reported. If you've got minors, I don't care if they're, I know the age of consent in most places is 16. But still, if you're playing minors with alcohol to the point that they can't consent, that's no longer just having a good time. So I want you to listen to this. Because if what this guy is saying is true, this is damning evidence.
When we go to the club, we used to have these bottles, right? And on this bottle, they be regular Moet bottles. On them bottles right there, they've been to have something to make the girls be real slippery and all of this kind of stuff.
We have bottles for us and bottles for them. And in the bottles for them, we put stuff in there to make them slippery. And which is, first of all, you're drugging somebody without their consent or knowledge. That's a major physical assault right there, just right there.
And when you get up, they be like, don't touch them bottles right there and only drink them bottles right there.
Now, if he's called as a witness, that's a pattern in practice. And my guess is other people are going to say the same thing.
So we already knew what the drill was. You just don't mess with them bottles, right? Then all of the girls is in the club after a while. They all running, opening up their mouth like little birds. He's running around just popping pills in their mouth. Pop, pill. And then that was the party.
Is this like the Bill Cosby school of dating? What the hell? Why do you need to do that? You know what it is? It's one thing and one thing alone. It's power. It's just sheer unadulterated abuse of power. It's too much work to get a woman to fall in love with you and to have a normal fucking romance. No, we just rather have a bunch of hot little bitches run around, ply them with this and that, and then all of a sudden dump some pills down their throat.
No disrespect to Puffy, take that. But everybody that Puffy has come in contact with, either they are dead, in jail, or we don't know where the fuck they at. Or their careers have fallen out, which means they still dead.
Like that woman who drink blood. The last woman who did that was Cassie. And Cassie is gone. Cassie is P. Diddy's slave. Did y'all know that? She is his slave. Oh, yes, she is. Every time you see Cassie with P. Diddy, she got her head down, she carrying bags. She's a mop-up girl.
See, some people, it's not enough to be sexually excited. Some people can't get off or can't get excited unless they demean the other person or turn the other person into a humiliated individual.
P. Diddy want to impress him. He's bringing on. He let Cassie go down on him. He let that dude pop her in the butt, and P. Diddy sit back and masturbate while she's being ran in by his partners. Did y'all know that?
The downfall of Cassie's...
And when you have somebody's career and basically life in your hands, and they'll do anything for you, that's not consent. That is not consent. That's an abuse of power. Now, you've got all kinds of guys here who are saying this and that. And this is going to be a mountain of defense that he's going to have to put up. But he's a billionaire. And guess what billionaires can do? Afford high-priced lawyers. And guess what high-priced lawyers can do? High-priced lawyers know how to defend this shit. And they can bury the plaintiff's lawyers. And I don't know who the plaintiff's lawyers are.
I was watching Puff. The nigga Puff was looking up there. He saw this white woman. It was bottles on bottles on bottles around. It was lit. Puff jumped out. Me and Cassie sit next to each other. My wife right here, Cassie right here. The nigga jumped off the bar, came over and said, yo, Cassie, tomorrow, I want you to shave the side of your head. And I was like,
So you see that's the kind of stuff where I want you to do whatever you want me, what I want you to do, and I don't want you to give me any shit about it. You know, just control for control's sake. And while some women, might be into that, it is really important to know that, if a woman wants to be controlled, that's her business. If a woman wants to be submissive or whatever, but it's got to be her choice. And from the allegations that are stemming here, it's not that. This is abuse. This is 100% abuse. It seems to me that there's going to be plenty of people who are coming off of the Diddy train and going to be witnesses against him. Look at what 50 Cent is doing. Do a documentary about all the allegations, supporting these accusers. And all of his proceeds are going to go towards the victims of sexual assault. He's pretty funny because, this is what he does. Mr. Cent. This is what Mr. Cent does. Anyway, God, she's fucking gorgeous.
This down. What I can deliver out of a pie is I can promise you that if I'm in a relationship with you, like 25% of your time, you're gonna just like feel like, oh man, I hate being here. Oh man, I hate this guy. Oh man, he cheated on me. He lied on me. That's 25%. You know what I'm saying? But then there's 75% of I'm gonna make you the happiest woman in the whole wide world. I'm gonna be there to support your dreams. I'm gonna be there to hold you, listen to you. I'm gonna be there to be your best friend. And I promise you'll smile the most. You know who I am. This is what it is. 25%, 75%. Which deal would you choose?
Now, for most of you guys, we was upstairs and he had like, we were in his closet and he like pushed me and I fell to the ground and then he like stood over me. So I was like laying on my back and he stood over me and he started like punching me like this. Like he avoided my face, but he like started punching me like on the side of my head and I was just like covering my face. And he did that and then after he got done doing that, he like, cause he was standing, his legs were like in between me. So he stomped on my stomach.
So it was just like a jealous rage.
Yeah, I was like.
So this kind of stuff can come into a trial like this. Is not to show propensity, which is really what it's designed to do, but it's really to show pattern and practice, and lack of mistake, identity, and really it is propensity evidence. But this kind of stuff can come into a trial like this, and you get a bunch of people in the same trial alleging conduct. It eventually takes its toll, especially because guess what? You only have to show by a preponderance of the evidence, just slightly more true than not true, like 50.01%. That's it. And there's no good reason. So what? She's texting another man. So what? Is that a reason to hit a woman? No, it isn't. Is that a reason to kick a woman? No, it isn't. Is there ever a reason to hit or kick a woman? No, there isn't. And, once in a while we get these loser guys who say, oh, what if she does this? What if she does that? Go fuck yourself. I mean, there's never a good reason to hit a woman, period. So, this is just a snippet of some of the stuff that's already out there. People that have talked about Diddy, and his world's kind of crashing in on him a little bit. He's probably got a safety net in terms of how he's going to handle this. I would hope so. But he doesn't have an unlimited amount of goodwill, and remember what he said? These white people, are here to buy what I'm selling. And if all of a sudden, it's just been our reaction to Diddy and these allegations. I mean, it's something. It really is something. The timing is a little suspicious. And I think that, the fact that She filed, and he settled with her the next day. These other complainants are like, oh shit, let's get on this bandwagon now. But are they corroborated? They don't have to be corroborated. They just have to be believed. So we'll follow this and keep you updated, and we'll see you next time here in Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, your board certified criminal defense lawyer with Michael Rivers. And make sure you subscribe, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, sign up for Patreon, and we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer React.
Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away. Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away. 23-hour lockdown, please, is that my God?